If you follow this channel, you know that my whole life and business runs through this one local folder and Claude, and that's it. And the way that we set this up, I showed many times on this channel already. You can download the scaffold of this for free, but there is now literally everything in this one folder. And if you're into handwriting, then this video is for you, because I really look deep. I tested it all to make it possible that my handwritten notes get frictionless into the single source of truth onto my local folder. And there are many ways to do this, but I found really literally the simplest solution and the most straightforward work, how I can bring my handwritten notes, for example meeting notes, or my sketches around new projects, layouts and so on, into this folder, and I cannot wait to share this with you. Before we dive into this, let's have a look at the content of the folder, okay? That's the myPKA folder. I made another video where I showed I killed all the PKM tools that I used since 2017 when I launched this channel, and everything ended up now in a local folder. What a crazy time we are living in, guys, because I never thought this would ever happen. And what the heck does make sense to have it in a local folder? Well, it comes all down that I can just simply start a terminal at the folder, or if you have the Claude desktop app with Cowork or Claude Code, you know this too, that you can now open these inside the folder and the AI works inside the folder. But I prefer the terminal version, so I just launch Claude, and here we are. And you see Claude is now connected to my PKA folder here on desktop. And now I can say, who are you? I'm Larry, the orchestrator. Okay, so he recognizes this already. All this is explained in our courses and on the videos on this channel. That's not what this video is about. What this is about is talking about capturing information and making it as frictionless as possible. In a last video, I showed you already a way how you can audio capture yourself that gets automatically pushed to this folder via Apple shortcuts. If you want to watch this afterwards and interested in audio capturing, this would be something for you. And in this video, I will talk about handwritten notes, sketches, scribbles, and all these things that I still prefer using an iPad, or even the Remarkable if it would have worked for some sketching and rough layouts and so on. That goes just quite much quicker than doing, but also reviewing content that the team provides to you. Believe me, in the end of the video, you will see how amazing this new workflow is. Just before we go in, this is how this works. We have the deliverables folder and we have the team inbox. So whatever we put into the team inbox, Larry can catch up here and start working onto it. So I can throw anything in. For example, if we go into this inbox, you see there's even a scanner inbox, and here is when I scan any documents, they end up here, and Larry can now organize this inside my system. It's OCR, it knows my invoices, my contracts, everything, and this is just amazing. You see also there's clippings. There will be another video where I talk about how I do web clipping and save these things inside the folder. So if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel if you want to see this video next. And then there's this deliverables folder, and this is the folder where the AI team can provide to me anything that I need to review. You see, this is just from the past 2 days. Archive, if we go in there, you know, it goes all the way back to February with all the deliverables that we had already, and that's archived. So when the work is done, it gets moved into the final destinations inside PKM and so on. But what I'm actually currently working on stays in here. So now AI has a place where it can place anything asynchronously. So I can take my time to read the things that I need to have a look at. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less that I need to look at. And then you see here, there's a plan, and you see how beautiful formatted all this is. And this is something we will dive into in a moment. Why do I show these concepts? Well, it's important to understand that we have these folders, so the AI works with it. And now the question is, how do we get external content into this team inbox? And as you see later in the video, how do we actually get something out of the deliverables into another place for me to review, so I can review using my Apple Pencil, for example. So my idea was from the get-go to look into Remarkable, as you can sync it, and it would have been amazing if there would be an easy way to extract the information from Remarkable. And yes, I see already the comments below, there are a lot of MCPs that are crafted there to get this out. There's also a workaround through the auto backups. So to me this was too cumbersome, and I always always think about our members who are non-tech savvy, who are professionals, busy professionals. They have no time to think about these things in such detail and build complex systems. That's why we have local first. That's easy to access. You can read all the content inside the folders, all the notes, everything is accessible. And now we want to keep going with this approach. So to me, this was just too much of a hassle to set this up. This being said, it is possible. If you really want to use your Remarkable, it is possible. But then I'm missing a lot of functionalities and speed and accessibility that the iPad gives to me. So the next thought was to test it with Apple Notes and try to get Apple Notes into sync. But this is again just a hack that you can create. And when I say a hack, I mean all these notes, doesn't matter if it is Remarkable or Apple Notes, they are not stored as PDF files. And it would be beautiful if we could get a PDF file that we simply add to our local folder and AI can pick up. It can perfectly read PDF files and help me then to work on this. And that was the basic idea. So obviously the next thought was, how can I convert Apple Notes into PDF files? If you look this up, there are Apple shortcuts, you can extract this and all these things, but the more automations you put to the system, the more likely it is that something breaks. That's why I want to have everything as straightforward as possible. So the next thought was to use Notability or GoodNotes. Why? For those of you who don't know, these are very common handwriting note-taking apps on the iPad, and the feature they have is called auto backup. So my next thought was the auto backup feature. I can actually switch on PDF files and it always auto backups any of the notes in a PDF file version. And it was actually the first thing that I had in place to make this work. The thing is with auto backup that I have to sync it to Dropbox or G Drive. I cannot do it to iCloud because in iCloud there's only the native version available from Notability and GoodNotes notes. And whenever I hit these ceilings, when I try to make something work, I pause and I think, okay, how can I make this now as simple as possible? I try to over-engineer here something, and if you are into any of these tools, it is possible. I'm not saying it's not possible, but the most straightforward way to do this. I'm not a student, I'm a professional. I need to get work done. I make quick meeting notes. I want to make sketches for the website and things like this. And this is where I went back to something I used over all the years, and it's PDF Expert. And here we are. This is PDF Expert, and obviously you can also use Adobe Acrobat Reader or anything like this. The key is just that we work directly on PDF files. We don't need to make a conversion or anything like this because it is PDF files out of the box. And I remembered that PDF Expert was really the best one when it came to using the Apple Pencil and getting a handwriting note-taking app feeling, in addition to having only PDF files. And here you see it already what I'm going for. There's a needs feedback and a Team Inbox folder. This is it. I have nothing else here on the side. The only thing is that I have these two folders, and these two folders live in the PDF Expert in iCloud. So if you go back to the folder, you see I already opened up here the PDF Expert in iCloud, and there we go. I'm already using this. That's why it's there are things in here, but we will see in a moment step by step how I did this and how I'm leveraging this. So on the iPad, I open this up. You see it's directly synced because it is synced through the iCloud. It doesn't interfere with myPKA because it's a separate thing. Unfortunately, there is no way to synchronize this directly into myPKA, which obviously would the preferable way. Anyway, I can just tell Larry where this location is, okay? So I can always let him know, even that I'm working inside the folder, look outside of this folder into the PDF Expert folder, into the Team Inbox if there is anything, or I mentioned that there is something. And on the other way, if there's anything to review for me in a specific way that I tell you in a moment, move it into the needs feedback, okay? And this is it. Now I can on PDF Expert, I can simply go into Team Inbox, hit the plus button on the bottom right, click Note. Here we are. I pick a paper, a background, and I can start writing, drawing. I can hold to make shapes. I can reshape this. I can draw and hold, and now I can, move this around. It snaps into place. Things that you are used to from Notability and GoodNotes already. Luckily, this is in here too, because this allows me to make proper shapes that I then can just refine, and you will see in a moment with a real use case how I use this. So if I go back, now you see there's a PDF file in here. It already uploaded it. And if you now go back to the PDF expert on my desktop, you see here it is. I can open it up and here's the scribbles that I just created. Instantly available. So now I can just say to Larry here, check out the Team Inbox and PDF expert for any new sketches that I made there and tell me what you see. And that's it. He will go now into this folder and check out what is there. He will find it and will tell me what is on this PDF file. And here we are. Found a new sketch from today in PDF Expert's Team Inbox. Reading it now. And here he found the thing. He explains now what is in here. So if you look at this, a tall vertical rectangle, perfect. A larger rounded enclosure in the middle right. Okay. Some sniggly zigzag lines inside, perfect. A horizontal line below divider, question mark. A circle below the enclosure button. Isn't this amazing that he understands what I'm sketching out? Obviously, there's no context, nothing that I gave to it, and it perfectly describes what it's seeing. That is just to me the confirmation that this is actually working. So now I show you the real use case, and I do this by simply showing you these files. These files represent two workflows. One is the needs feedback flow, and the other one is the team inbox flow. So just keep this in mind. So one is where I share something with the team, and the other one is where the team shares something with me. Remember, here it is, needs feedbacks folder, team inbox folder, okay? So let's start with this one. So when I work with AI inside this local folder, I work on a lot of things. One thing was to make this work, what I'm talking here about. And I usually do this by directly doing it. And so you see here directly the creation. I said it should create a plan in order how we can implement this. So we provide this later as an expansion pack to our members that you can just install in myPKA. Obviously, you can set this up yourself too by simply following these rules and then tell your AI what it should do for. But if you're already using myPKA and you're a member, then just download the expansion pack. It will install it exactly the way that I'm explaining it in this video today. And here it is. There's the plan, and this was provided to me in this needs feedback folder, and I was able to open this on my iPad to review and annotate. For those of you working with AI, you know you can create plans, and you should, by the way, if you have something more complex going on, and it will provide a plan inside this ugly terminal. It will provide a plan in the desktop app, but you have it always inside the chat. You can have then a dedicated file, which is a markdown file. You can tell it to make a HTML or PDF file out of it, and that's the new workflow the team has now. If they create plans for specific use cases that I can define, it will create a plan for me to review on my iPad, and all this means it just moves the plan into this PDF expert folder for me to review as a PDF file. And the file that I copied in here is the final version that I annotated. When I open this up, this is how the plan looks like that my AI is creating for me inside a folder. And this is how bad my handwriting looks. Okay, that's important because we have many members who say, I have a bad handwriting and AI cannot read it. Well, I don't think it can get worse than mine. And this is the plan, and look how beautiful. And this is something I really loved. So because here it gave me options as answers, and working with AI, you're used to do this too, but usually you do this on the fly very quickly. And here I can calmly now, asynchronously take my time, think about it, and then give answers. And it gives me then boxes below that I just check off with my Apple Pencil, and that's it. And then I went even further and I said, yeah, do this, but this and this and this and this. Okay, so very complex to read, bad handwriting, crazy flows here and so on, because I really wanted to see if it is working properly. But obviously this is also the document that and the plan that I use to build the whole system. Okay, so build a sequence. And if you're wondering why the styling is so great of the PDF file, or at least in my opinion it is because of the signer pack that I have installed that you can have as an expansion pack, which essentially are 3 agents that I have in here who are aware of your brand design, who are aware of how you want to create social media images and PDF files and slide decks. It's all focused on business, and that's why everything looks in the same myICOR branding here. I like this branding, and that's how they created this PDF file for the plan. If you're a member inside myICOR, you're pretty familiar with this styling. So here you go again, 3 options. I check this one and then moving there, and then look at this. Okay, here open considerations, and I like these things, and this is how I explained myself what I want. I strike this through, I emphasized I want to have this. Here I just checked it off, I strike this through, and here again this one, and then I keep going, and then on the very bottom I wrote this, okay, because I like the plan and we want to provide this later on as an expansion pack. Now, let's see how good AI picked this up. So now keep in mind, the flow was, it was sitting in this folder here and I kept it here for the demonstration purpose. And then it looked up my annotations. And this is where we have now these screenshots where I just screenshotted the reaction of AI when it checked out this annotated PDF. And I was pretty amazed how well this works. Keep in mind, there's nothing special. It's pure PDF files, no automations, nothing. It's just running through Claude, picking up the PDF file, reading the PDF file and working with it. So I open this up, you see sync confirmed. It realized that the original plan PDF file increased in size. I love the thing that it figured this out. It recognized there are 15 annotations across 6 pages, and that's great because the PDFs provide metadata with this information, so AI already knows there's something to look for. And then it came up with these results, and here it immediately found out the decisions that I already gave, okay, based on the checkboxes. But the thing that I immediately recognized also is this part where it got it wrong with the crazy diagram that I showed you earlier. Yeah, this one, right? So it got this wrong, and we will get to this in a minute because it was pretty awful to understand, and yet it still understood this and had the first roots correct, okay? That I not only checked it off, but it also recognized the flow. And then it got all the rest perfectly right, including the last note here. Great plan, keep in mind that, see, it makes the OCR. It was not even OCR'd by PDF Expert, it was done by Claude itself, and everything else was correct. And now for those saying, well, this is not accurate enough, guys, I know a lot of CEOs who had personal human assistants, who used handwriting note-taking apps to just simply send a PDF to the assistant to do something. And if your handwriting is something like this, and there's no additional context like I did here, that was really a worst case test that I did here, it's pretty likely that the human wasn't better. So what are the expectations here with AI? We need to lower the expectations for AI and no longer match it with strict mathematics. And yet we still have the advantage of making these amazing workflows work, where I can just throw in a random PDF with some annotations and it immediately starts working with me, all based on natural language. And that's something we cannot underestimate. But also in addition, can reinforce now what it should do better next. And that's why it's important to have a local folder like this, because the system in here, it has a team knowledge. In this team knowledge, there is SOPs, standard operating procedures, like for a team. There are work streams. So here you see now there's a new work stream called Handwritten Collaboration Loop. And here's all the details that the team needs to keep in mind whenever I share anything handwritten, and that's what's part of the expansion pack. And this is how I reinforced and said, no, you didn't get it right, which, guys, obviously is not so easy to get this right, what I meant by this. And that's where I was then happy to see that he perfectly picked up just in a follow-up message, and he concluded this. He treated the errors wrong, he assumed options A, B, C, and so on, and then moving forward he will do it right. And obviously only time will tell how accurate this is. This being said, the next test that I did shocked me even more. That made me confident this is now the thing that I will use. First of all, using PDF Expert or whatever PDF annotation tool you want that allows you to store it in the iCloud to create this process, or sync via your OneDrive on Windows. It's the same workflow. You can make this work for free, by the way. That's just a free PDF Expert app that I was using for this workflow. Nothing more needed. So now the question is, what about my Team Inbox? So I had an idea and share something. So I thought, what could I do? And we are currently working on an update of the profile page on my ICOR inside our application, inside our membership. And I just scribbled quickly something down to give it a go. And I threw it into the Team Inbox in PDF Expert. And I told Larry, look it up. I sketched something out for the new profile page. And this was this profile page. Okay. How the heck? We just recently had in our coaching call a person talking about designs and that Claude is not really understanding and he has really bad handwriting. If you're watching this, let me know in the comments below if yours was really worse than what I provided here, because I barely can read it anymore. And also, what the heck is the meaning of all this? Anyway, I wanted to hand it in and to see how far it can go, and it was perfect. It was spot on. He understood perfectly what this is. He saw the structure, see the header. It made sense. Left side was the avatar, right side was the bio. And then on the bottom, on the left, we have the ICOR framework, the ICOR journey, and the community activity. So that's what he got out of this image. And here we are. That's exactly it. Okay. And then I said, okay, now based on this, because he perfectly understood, make a mock-up that represents the new page. And it sent it back for me to review inside PDF Expert. And now I can open this up in PDF Expert. And here we go. This is the draft. That's the mock-up that he made for the new profile page for our members. Well, I already love it. Obviously, I would iterate on this, but this is how I would love to iterate, because now I can use my Apple Pencil and just start scribbling around in here and explain I don't want to have this, I don't want to have a smaller font size and so on. And this saves so much time in back and forth in plain text that you now can visually represent what you mean. And now a last word about deep thinking and visual thinking. And how was it possible that I move away from Heptabase, which has whiteboards that allows me visual thinking, into a folder like this? Well, we went back to the roots. As I said in the beginning, I never thought we would get to this place, but here we are. We have a pure folder with readable files in there. No code in a sense of that there's any program running except the AI on top of it. And I'm back on handwriting note-taking apps. I can do whatever I want very quickly to express myself much quicker using an Apple Pencil to quickly draft out what I'm thinking about and place it this way. And if you get the understanding behind this, it doesn't mean that you need to use PDF Expert. You can think this further and use whatever you like, as long you get it in here and everything gets you connected to the outside, because what we have obviously is the connection between myPKA and PDF Expert, which is also just a folder. And if we replace now PDF Expert with another folder, or we even have a way to sync it directly into the folder, and there are obviously ways depending on your specific use case. This is crazy because I have everything inside a folder, and the only key here is to have the folder structured in a way like we have here, that you have an inbox, a deliverables box where you can talk to the AI and iterate. And this actually allows me to scale working with AI. My record is 12 different sessions open in parallel, all working inside this one folder, doing various things. It doesn't matter if it is tax calculations, accounting work, working inside my membership, support tickets work, coding work. All this is in there because I have the whole team in here, and they all stay in Rail based on the team knowledge they have. So this is now the only folder. For the long-term members, they know that I've used two different folders for a while. I called it IPA just for you guys. It's all inside this one folder now. I made it. So life and business both runs through the folder. It's the same as my co-founder Paco Cantero does, with just one folder running for businesses and his life. And this is a personal folder. That's just something we need to keep in mind. Forget about sharing this with the team. You should never let any people inside this folder. It's yours and yours only, with your private thoughts, with your thoughts about your life, goal setting and all these things. And then once you have an output, like for example, the expansion pack that I created, this goes into the business part, shared with the team, or in this case, shared with our members. Or here, the output is the final membership upgrade, right? With the new layout. But my thought process was in my personal knowledge management system. And that was always the case before AI even was a thing. We worked exactly the same way as we work now inside this folder, but used instead tools like, well, starting with Evernote, going to Notion, Obsidian, Heptabase, you name it. We went through all the tools. Eventually AI came along and killed them all and moved everything into a local folder. Everybody, I hope this was useful for you if you love handwriting and sketching and so on, and you want to get it to work in the way that I showed here. Let me know in the comments below if you use PDF Expert or any other PDF annotation tool for this, or do you have a setup with the Remarkable, with an iPad note-taking app? Share it in the comments below. I'm curious to hear more about it. And if you want to get the free download of the scaffold or even the full course, make sure to join us in my ICOR. Our co-founder Paco and me are both in there. We will see us inside.